as the first act to learn about the ramifications of the bill. So doon na lang, deceptive yung sinasabing 70%. Before the election in Parañaque, they came out with a survey saying that about 80% of the people of Parañaque were in favor of RH. Pero kung nakabandera yung anti-RH ko, bandera, parati yung pinagmamalaki na anti-RH ako. I was against the reproductive health bill. Notwithstanding that survey that they supposed to came out with, awa ng Diyos, nanalo ko 96% of the votes na nakuha ko. So, diba? And then also in Cebu, naglabas din sila ng survey dun. I think to frighten the Cebu congressmen who were mostly anti-RH. Sinabi na 80% of the Cebuanos were against RH, were in favor of RH. So awa ng Diyos, sina Pabling Garcia, sina Del Mar, panalo pa rin. In spite of that so-called survey. That's why I say that it may be a question of manipulating a survey and not correctly presenting the survey. Dapat pinresent nila that very important piece of information that 90% of their respondents said that they have not read the bill, and therefore they had no business commenting on whether they are in favor of the bill or not. Ano pa yung mga ibang issues sa RH? Well, population, no? Sabi nila, pero overpopulated daw tayo. Look, the most populated countries in the world in terms of population density, kasi a population is not based on the absolute number. It should be based on population density. Like here in the room, I think there are about 300 here, no? Or maybe more. Population density dito, 300 in one room. Marami o konti? Marami compared to the size of the room. But if we would be the only audience in the Araneta Coliseum, nilalangan ang Araneta Coliseum. Tama? Our population density in the Philippines is about 266. Ang population density ng Hong Kong is about 5,000. Sino mas mayaman? Hong Kong o Pilipinas? Mas mayaman ng Hong Kong, pero overpopulated sila. Ang population density ng Macau is about 15,000. Sino mas mayaman? Macau o Pilipinas? Mas mayaman ng Macau. In other words, hindi naging obstacle sa kanila yung the fact that they are overcrowded. In fact, it might even have enhanced the economic development. The population density of Singapore is about 5,000 also. And 40 years ago, Singapore, Taiwan, and the Philippines and Korea were practically in the same economic level. Sila overpopulated ng Hong Kong during that time. Korea had a much higher population density. Ang population density ng Korea is about 700. Ang Taiwan is 600 compared to our 266. Sabay-sabay tayo nag-journey towards economic development. Sila more overpopulated than we were 40 years ago. 40 years ago, Taiwan is much more developed. 40 years after, Korea is much more developed. 40 years after, Singapore is much more developed. So, paano nangyari yun? Eh, sila overpopulated. Dapat silang hindi nag-develop. The answer is very clear as far as I'm concerned. The answer is a question of strategy, a question of development program, and how you manage that development program. A question of leadership. Ganun yun. What are the, like, for example, Pangasinan is more populous than the province of Romblon, the province of Eastern Samar, Apayao, Ifugao. Sino mas develop? Pangasinan o Ifugao? Eh, mas mababa population density ng Apayao at Ifugao. Dapat mas develop sila following the logic of the RH people. Kasi sabi ng RH people, pag konti ang population, mas magiging develop. And again, talking of responsible parenthood, you know, I also beg to disagree that by having a small number of children, a parent is more responsible than one who has more children. It does not necessarily mean so, because for all you know, that father may want only one child. because he's not as responsible, because he does not want to accept the responsibility of taking care of 4 children. Because on that basis, my father would have been very irresponsible. Kasi 5 yung anak niya, maliit lang sweldo niya. Ordinary mga government employees na siya nung magsimula. Pero 5 kami. But I beg to disagree. I think he was one of the most responsible fathers who ever lived. Kasi kahit na hirap kami, kahit na public school ako, kahit paano naging congressman ako, yung kapatid ko isa, naging UP graduate, management, yung isang kapatid ko, graduate ng PMA, naging flag officer in command, head of the Philippine Navy, and my fifth brother, my fifth sibling, also graduated from the Philippine Military Academy and became a successful businessman in LA. So, sino mas, pero may kilala ko, isa lang anak, nasa Muntinlupa ngayon, anak niya. May kilala ko, yaman-yaman, Chief Justice, nakatira sa exclusive subdivision, nasa Muntinlupa din, anak niya. So who's more responsible? My father or those wealthy people? It doesn't follow. Kaya ito yung mga bagay na itakil natin, and the social communication system can help us in explaining these raging issues that we are facing today. The issue of RH, the issue of graft and corruption in the armed forces of the Philippines. But let me emphasize, pag sinabi natin graft and corruption, this is not to me an institutional problem. I do not believe that it was a case of somebody walking in to corruption. No? I'm sure, pero lahat naman ng bagay mayroong corruption. Pero hindi man ganun kalaki na tatanggap ka ng 10 million pesos a month, 10 million pesos na pasalubong, 5 million pesos a month na personal, 50 million pesos a month na papaon. Hindi naman siya ganun kalaki. I think hindi ko naniniwala na ganun ang nangyari. I think they aggravated the problem. That's why they got into this problem. And that's why it led to that tragic decision. Andun yung economic development natin, BPO, social communications, bright hopes for the future. Social communications are a multiplier in business. Social communication, social networking enhances the business because it facilitates business. Anything that improves communication between 2 people and more is good for business. Dahil bumibilis yung mga transaction. So ito yung mga bagay na dapat supportahan natin. So sa inyo po, I hope I cannot approximate the social communications expertise of Father Lucas, but I speak from experience as a member of Congress, as an observer, and sometimes every now and then as a participant in the making of national issues in this country. Maraming salamat.